Welcome to I Said What I Said. I'm Brad Wakai. That's Tyson Gentry. First round of the NFL draft is over. Tyson's pointing to the Eagles. I got the Eagles champions hat on. It finally came in the mail, Tyson. I was running around in Philly during the Super Bowl parade. Didn't have it. Everybody's got it on. Of course, I had to order it online. Everybody gets to go to their local Dick's. They got it. I'm feeling left out. But I got it on. We had to put it on. This is an Eagles podcast. We'll get to it. This is an NFL broad one. We're going to kind of go through everything. But the Eagles, Tyson, before we jump in, get Jahad Campbell at 31. And it's like, how did this even happen again?
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to spend too much time because I'm sure everybody else is out there thinking the same thing. They did it again, and you're goddamn right they did. You know what? People, when they look at the Philadelphia Eagles, they think, that front seven needs improvement. Let's go at it. 6'2", 240, 117 tackles, whatever. We'll get into that when we get there. But overall, what do you think of the draft, brother?
Yeah, Tyson,
First round.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't do a ton of draft coverage this year like we normally do in the past.
We were locked in March Madness.
We were, and we had a huge, like the biggest fall we've had covering college NFL. So I think we both needed a little bit of a break. But we're diving in personally into this stuff that people just kept saying, well, we just don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be a crazy draft. And I'm like, how? There's nobody that's worth truly trading up for. I don't think there's going to be a lot of action here, and that's how it was. So I know some people are expecting it to be a big draft. I never went into that mindset. I don't know if you did or not.
I mean, to me, it felt like at a certain point, it just flattens out pretty hard. And you can argue whether that was after Will Campbell at 4 or whatever, or if you felt it was Tyler Warren at 14 or whatever else. But this draft has a lot of really good players in it, but it's got a lot of the same guys.
For sure. And I think that's one of the reasons why it was so stagnant is you can sit at 9, you can sit at 15, you're going to get roughly the same ceiling guy. You're going to get roughly the same floor guy. And I think, honestly, if you're drafting in the first round, that's honestly kind of what you're looking for. I don't think there's a lot of swing and miss here. I think you kind of know what you're getting. But let's go through it. So the non-surprise, right? Cam Ward goes number 1 to the Titans. This is a new era. Will Levis gone. Malik Willis gone now. They're going with another quarterback direction here, and it's Cam Ward. A remarkable story if you're watching the coverage, just going from a 0-star recruit that kind of pounded that into the ground to get to where he was at Miami, going from Incarnate Word to Washington State. Now he's going to be leading the Titans, Tyson. I think this is a huge step. Now, if you're the Titans, you got to take a quarterback here. Is Cam Ward going to be the home run? I'm not quite sure about that, but you had no choice. They were hamstrung. They had to take him.
Yeah, I mean, I think Nashville would have burned to the ground if they took Abdul Carter. And that's just kind of the way it is. You and I are sad because Will Levis is a cover machine for the Tennessee Titans. It was plus 9.5. Will Levis will get this done. But no, I mean, good for Cam Ward. Absolutely diabolical. I know you're on NFL Network, but ESPN immediately the comp is Pat Mahomes. As soon as this thing starts, it was you just set the kid up for failure right away. What are we doing?
Well, that's what I told you before we got on here. I'm I can't do the ESPN ABC coverage anymore. I'm on NFL Network. It's got my guys, right? Joel Klatt, who actually knows these college people, knows these college players from covering them. Charles Davis, who works his ass off, and he's going to CBS. He's going to take over for retired Gary Danielson. And the DJ, Daniel Jeremiah, our boy. And, so I'm NFL Network all the way through now. I had to turn the page on it, Tyson. So I got some good backstory, good interviews there. I did not hear the nonsense comp thing, but that just makes my blood boil. But they were talking a lot about Travis Hunter. And that's because the first surprise, and there was kind of some whispers out there that this was potentially going to happen, but the Browns trade number 2 to the Jags, Tyson. And I got the comp for you here. Browns traded the number 2 pick, their number 104 pick, and their number 200 pick in this year's draft. They got back the number 5, number 36. They pick up a second-round pick, number 126 in this draft, and then a 2026 first-round draft pick. For them to go down to 5 and take Mason Graham to tackle while the Jags take Travis Hunter. And he's the popular name. It can go both ways. What's it going to be, the split between offense? What's it going to be between defense? Because we said the Jaguars need a cornerback. Is that what you're getting from Travis Hunter? Are you getting splits? I'm not quite sure how it works, but, they got a big-name guy. They were aggressive. I think it was a massive overpay. What was your thought?
Yeah, I thought it was a ton. I mean, we didn't get to dive too much into the prospect stuff here on the show. I think Travis Hunter is a heck of a football player. I also don't think he's big enough to go both ways. This is a guy that, there's a lot of You're going to hear it a bunch. He's got a major in corner and minor in wide receiver if he wants to be successful in the NFL. And I think that was kind of the thinking when he kept getting mocked to the Browns. I don't know how Liam Cohen's going to use him, and we're going to find out. We'll see it. We'll hear a bunch of smoke in August. This guy's playing both ways in camp. He looks awesome. He might be better than Brian Thomas Jr., and he's the best corner on the team. That's just not the way it's going to play out. There's a reason that nobody's done this since 1930, played both ways like this. And I think Travis Hunter is an excellent athlete, plus athlete. I am a little worried. This is not the organization necessarily where you would trust something like this to work out. But if you are going to do package plays for him on offense and let him, again, kind of major in that cornerback role, I think it works with the Brian Thomas Jr. And Liam Cohen is going to be able to scheme him open on the offensive side of the ball. But until I see the fit, you can't. Everybody is going to rush to grade these things, and it's going to be an A for Travis Hunter or an F for Travis Hunter, depending on where you feel. We're not going to know until week 13.
Yeah, and we all do that on here. We don't do the grade stuff. Like we've done NFL draft stuff for a long time. We're not going to come here and say A+, F, D. I think the grades are stupid because you don't know for 3 years legitimately. What we'll tell you is we like the fit. We think it makes sense, or we think maybe that was an overdraft and overreach. We like to look at the positives. That's how we are here. And I said what I said. That's our philosophy when it comes to the draft. I think here I see it with Hunter. Like you said, the major in corner, minor in receiver. Okay, when you think like that, okay, this guy's going to be your number one cornerback. Okay, this guy maybe takes 20 snaps on offense, little gadgety stuff. Maybe he goes and runs some routes. Is the compliment in certain situations of Brian Thomas Jr. I like that more than, hey, let's go run him out there in 100 plays. Because you said, I don't know if he's big enough to go both ways in the NFL. Tyson, I don't know if anybody's big enough to go both ways in the NFL. Like, these guys are huge. These are freaks among freaks. And so, yeah, that's why there's a reason why he said since the 1930s we haven't seen a two-way player.
And I mean, if anybody is big enough to go both ways, I mean, it's never going to happen. But the guy that went number 3, Brad, your boy, Mr. Abdul Carter to the New York Giants. This is something that hurts us. You see the dual flags behind Brad. He's got the Penn State right there, the Philadelphia Eagles. So to see Abdul Carter go number 3 to the Giants, but this was to me a no-brainer. Like it's a small line. It's just going to be with Brian Burns. They still got KT, and then obviously you add Carter, but this was the best player in the draft, I think, and I don't necessarily know how close it was. I think that if this was a year like when Jacksonville had already taken Trevor Lawrence and then they're picking number 1, Abdul Carter's a no-brainer, number 1 overall pick. It's just the way the board fell, kind of moved him down to number 3, but this is the best player in the draft.
Yeah, he's probably I think he's number 2 for me on my big board. Tyson, I love him, but I think Travis Hunter, I mean, he is a unicorn, but I mean, I think I'm splitting hairs there. And I mean, but Abdul Carter is special. I mean, I watched every snap that he played, obviously with being the Penn State fan, but it's a home run for the Giants, right? I think they'll probably try to trade Kayvon Thibodeau, go Burns and Abdul on the outside. But this is just a stake through the heart for me, and it's happened.
Unfair.
The 3 best players that I've seen at Penn State, I've had to watch go to the rival teams. First, Saquon Barkley to the Giants, then Micah Parsons to the Cowboys, now freaking Abdul Carter to the Giants. It's brutal, but that just means in 4 or 5 years he's coming to the Eagles. So it's all right, Abdul, you'll come home to Philly. But the number 4 pick, the Patriots, they take Will Campbell, somebody you know well. You're an LSU fan. You got the hat back there. Will Campbell, there's a lot of conversation, the short arms thing. I think he put that to bed extremely well in the pre-draft process. I've had it my entire life. In fact, LSU told me I got short arms. This guy's tough. This guy's physical. Worst case scenario you're getting here, this is what I didn't understand. You either get an all-pro tackle, which I think is a ceiling, or you get an all-pro guard if you have to kick him inside. This was a no-brainer for the Patriots who need to build the line, need to protect Drake May.
Yeah, I mean, this is the potential to age very poorly, but like this is it's a floor play where it's just like, okay, worst case scenario, we get a guy that we can sign to a second contract and start for hopefully 8 years. If you're the Patriots, they got to rebuild the entire culture. This is a Vrabel pick, baby. Like, let's go get a guy. The quote that just rings true over and over again is this is like, if you allow 1 sack a game as an offensive lineman, you go work at Amazon. That's how he feels. It's like he's a dog, man. And I think that is something that's been sorely missing in New England for the last couple of years.
The Jags, we touched on it a bit, but Jags trade out of 5, right? Browns get down there. I thought when we're talking about it from the Browns angle, what they got back, because listen,
Smash.
We know the Jags. Everybody's talking about, okay, what's the ceiling? Oh, Trevor Lawrence, new offense. If they suck again, which is not out of the possibility because it is the Jags, you got 2 first-round picks to be really good next year if you're the Browns in a better quarterback class. way long play thinking. I thought this was a smash from an organizational standpoint for the Browns. The Mason Graham pick itself, I see it. Now, this is to me is a floor play. I don't see the ceiling here. He's a really good football player. He's a really good interior defensive lineman. But Tyson, I don't think he's special. Like, he's not Jalen Carter, which, I mean, that's Aaron Donald, blah, 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 how people comp him. But, I mean, he's not one of these guys like a Chris Jones. He's not one of these guys like a J.J. Watt who can really disrupt. Now, he's going to be solid against the run. Is his pass rush ever going to get there? And that's what you're looking for when you take somebody 5th overall on the interior. I don't think it's ever going to get to that point like Chris Jones, like Jalen Carter, anything like that would warrant a top pick like that. But this is in a division against teams who like to run the football, who want to run the football, and you have to stop it. So if you combine that with Myles Garrett, who you already locked up, that makes more sense to me. That's a little bit better of a team building aspect. So let's get the guy we know can stop the run. Let's pair it up with Myles Garrett. Let's play for the future. So that to me was a good, solid move combined with everything else that happened there. I like what the Browns did. And
the kid's going to get singles. Like, it's me versus you for the next couple of years as Myles Garrett's on this super mega contract that he signed this offseason. It's like, it's not a bad position to be in to learn how to play in the NFL when you don't have to see the doubles of some of those guys you mentioned when they come in and Jalen Carter's getting doubled 50% of the time or whatever. Graham now has the chance, and this is another guy with tiny arms, man. We got to talk to these Senior Bowl guys because I don't know how accurate these measurements were, but the pick could have been whoever, but it was like finally Andrew Berry and the boys did something, to help them maybe one day get out from underneath this Deshaun Watson contract.
Raiders at 6 select Ashton Jeanty. There was no surprise to me here when he was on the board. This is exactly what Pete Carroll wanted. I mean, come on. They are loving life in Las Vegas, getting Ashton Jeanty. It's a culture setter. It's an elite talent. This is a great building block for the new regime.
Yeah, this is Pete Carroll, dude. It's Ashton Jeanty. It was Kenneth Walker right before he left Seattle. It was a number of running backs really before he left Seattle. And this is like, does it make a bunch of sense from a football standpoint? I don't know. Like, we'll find out, but it's going to be fun. Like, I don't know if you're just going to run out routes with Brock Bowers and turn around and hand the ball off because you got nobody to block, but it's going to be a pack your lunch when you play the Vegas Raiders, and that's what they're trying to establish.
Number 7, the Jets draft Armand Membu, offensive tackle from Missouri. This is a guy, super athlete, climb up the boards. He's one of those classic, after Will Campbell, who's really going to make that leap? Which team likes the guy better? And from the Jets, it was Membu. And you pair him with their first-round pick last year, Olo Fashanu from Penn State. This is a great draft pick, in my opinion, just from where the Jets need to be. Yes, they don't have a quarterback. Maybe it's Justin Fields. Maybe you play for next year for that draft class and really get your guy. But you got to start getting an offensive line if you're the Jets. Yeah. And I think this new regime, Aaron Glenn's looking at the Lions, how they built through the trenches. He's like, okay, I'm a defensive guy. Let's just protect our quarterback and get a coordinator in who can figure it out. That's what they did with this pick. That's what they did for the future. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, they had to. And if this doesn't work, it doesn't mean that the process was wrong. They needed offensive line. And maybe like Kelvin Banks becomes the guy from this class and Membu ends up stinking and we have an Evan Neal discussion like we had with the Giants. But that's always lost in translation, especially when people use the Evan Neal thing. Because at the time it was like, they just walked out of here with a plug-and-play starter on the offensive line. It's always a good move.
Number 8, Tedero McMillan, Arizona wide receiver, our guy. For 2 years, Tyson and I have sat on here and said, if the Panthers can't get T. Higgins, which they didn't, go and get Ted McMillan and draft him. And people were shocked when this happened. I mean, I was kind of like scrolling through the mock drafts at the end. Nobody saw this coming. I saw it billed as a surprise. I didn't think so. I mean, people thought offensive line, which I can understand, even though they put a ton of money. Defensive tackle, okay, sure. You got to help out. This to me is a no-brainer. We love Ted McMillan. For some reason, the draft process, it seemed to knock him down a little bit. People are saying, well, he's not as big, not as much of an athlete. Can the guy play football? Yes. Can the guy catch the football? Yes. Is the guy a playmaker and like a great locker room guy? Yes. Add him to your organization. I love this pick for the Panthers.
But Brad, there was a video from 3 years ago where 18-year-old Ted McMillan said he didn't watch film.
Right.
It's like, come on.
If you're a wide receiver, like, okay. You know what I mean? Also, like, if that's a quarterback, like, we got a problem.
Him and Xavier Leggett might walk into next season as the biggest receiving duo. I'm not going to say even they're going to be close to the best, but they got some big bodies out there. You got 𝐿𝐭 Sanders a year ago. You draft Jonathan Brooks. That the jury's out there, but Chuba was awesome. I think like with Canales and the way that the Bryce Young thing unfolded through last year, that kid's got a lot of heart and a lot of grit. So to go out and get him, the guy that was the wire-to-wire number one wide receiver here, no matter what some of these guys tried to sell you on, like Matthew Golden was going over him. Sure. Yeah, that was the most ridiculous thing ever. Ted McMillan was always a top 10 pick.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there was just no question about it. And this is a guy – I've said my piece on this. This is a great pick. I think he's going to be a really good NFL player. And you mentioned Kelvin. And it makes sense for the. I mean, similar to the Jets. You don't know if the quarterback situation here. You get a big guy, but it could be the guy who smashes. You pair him up with Fuaga from last year, excuse me, and you build your bookends. Smart organizational building here from the Saints.
Yeah, it's about dang time.
Number 10, the Bears. Now, this was the next shocker on the board here. Colston Loveland goes 10 to the Bears, first tight end off the board. A lot of people thought this was going to be Tyler Warren. A lot of people thought Tyler Warren was going to get selected by the Jets at 7. So for this to happen here, I think a lot of people are like, whoa, okay, that's interesting. This to me is not as big of a shocker from a fit standpoint. I mean, I was thinking about the Tyler Warren thing, Tyson. They already have that with Cole Kmet. If you think about kind of the body type, the athlete level, blocking ability, catching ability. I think Colston Loveland gives you a little bit of a different look if you want to do the 2 tight end set, a little bit more of a receiver package, although Warren's a really good receiver, but a little bit more like that slender, a little bit more of that slot guy who can really go out there and kind of beat NFL level cornerback. Not that Tyler Warren can't, but I think he's more of your George Kittle type, where I think Loveland can be a little bit more of your Travis Kelce type if that's the way you're looking at things. So this makes sense to me. Now, is this what the Bears should have done? I don't know. But listen, you got to turn the keys over to Ben Johnson. If you're saying this is the guy we want, just get out of the way. It hasn't worked your way. Throw it to Ben Johnson. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, you went out and got the guy to be able to make these decisions. So I'm not going to sit here and say, actually, I don't like the way he fits into Ben Johnson offense, because Ben Johnson's the one that picked him. I think Loveland is a plus athlete. He's an awesome football player. There's something to be said about like the way that he carried himself in Michigan, and some of the a lesser man might have transferred at least once, probably, if you were stuck in Loveland's situation over the last couple of years. So I think that's good from the culture too. They did a lot to address the offensive line in the offseason, but Brad, it's just hard to. Loveland might end up being a Hall of Famer for all we know, but it's like, if you watch the games last year, you're going to get the poor kid killed. I know you go out and get Tooney and some of these other guys, but like the tackles were already gone. What are you going to do?
I mean, I'm sure Loveland wanted to transfer in the middle of he's like, God, I won the championship the year before, and now I don't have anybody throwing me the ball. Can I put a transfer in the midseason?
He could have used Tyler Warren at quarterback.
He could have, yeah. Niners have 11. Now, Tyson, every time I see this, it's just so strange to see the Niners picking here. But they picked Michael Williams, the edge from Georgia. We both text each other like, ugh. No, obviously we're Eagles fans. We hate it going forward. Him with Bosa, I think for the next 2 years is going to be formidable. Then you really slide him in. What is Bosa going to be going forward? But, you need edge rushing. You need somebody who's going to fill that role. I think they got it here. Michael Williams is a stud.
Yeah, I mean, don't overthink it when it comes to draft season. Was this guy the best player at his position in college football? Probably. Like, it's a good ad.
12, the Cowboys select Tyler Booker. I think he's going to play interior. The guard from Alabama.
Which is ridiculous.
We'll see, right? I mean, man, I want to know how everything works out. Now, I don't think anything is necessarily figured out there. You got a new coaching staff coming in now. Schottenheimer was the OC there, but has he changed things and kind of how he wants it to look? I wouldn't be surprised there's an open competition in Camp Tyson, and we kind of go from there and figure it out. I was surprised that the Cowboys went this direction. This is the right play. This is the smart play. This is what the Cowboys used to do 4 or 5 years ago, and then they kind of went off the rails a little bit here. So it was like, oh, okay. Well, the Cowboys made a smart move. I'm kind of shocked by it, for lack of a better term.
Well, it's just one of those things with the way that the NFL values positions right now. And guards are getting paid. Like, that's not something that people are talking about a bunch. Where it's like, oh, you don't need the interior guys, and it's like, how much money did Landon Dickerson get? How much money are some of these interior guys? How much money did 50-year-old Joe Tooney just get? In his contract extension, but. Look, if it's not Zach Martin, if it's not Travis Frederick, if it's not Quentin Nelson, it's hard to talk yourself into a top 15 guard.
Kenneth Grant, He goes 13 to the Dolphins, defensive tackle from Michigan. This
Dude,
to me was a little bit of a shock.
They had a great, like in the NBA terms, like Michigan getting 3 guys in the lottery was unexpected.
It was, and I think it goes to like what they built there. And it's been a program. We'll see if they can continue it now. Harbaugh's out of the picture a little bit. You know, recruiting's been good. That's for a different show. I think this Tyson, the Dolphins are like, oh my God, we missed Christian Wilkins.
Yeah.
Like that screamed this pick to me. Is Kenneth Grant and Christian Wilkins? That's going to be really hard. Guy's got a huge ceiling. I mean, everybody raves about this guy.
He's massive.
You know, his teammate went above him. I think there's a chance that Kenneth Grant could be even better on the interior.
I mean, we'll find out. It's culture-wise, I think that this is really good for Miami because them boys are a little soft, and I think that he's going to walk in there and just be like, "No, this is not how we do things." And I'll beat you up. I'm bigger than you. I'm stronger than you. They needed this.
They did, for sure. The Colts got a guy at 14. They get Tyler Warren, tight end from Penn State. I mean, I was nervous when the Cowboys, when Goodell said Tyler, I'm like, no way, Tyler Warren. After I see Abdul Carter go to the Giants, he's got to go to the Cowboys. But thankfully, he said Booker. Now I'm like, all right, where's Tyler Warren going? You know, 14 to the Colts, I felt like that was his floor here. Maybe anything higher would have been a bonus, especially for Penn State, kind of how they're trying to build things. I think this is a good fit. You know, he's a blocker. He's going to help out that offensive line. He's a big body. If it is Anthony Richardson who wins this job, which we'll see. But the tight ends are always used in Shane Steichen's system. I think he's going to have a good future. I think this is a good pick. They needed a real guy in that tight end room.
Yeah, and it's been missing from this offense. Like Shane Steichen's been hamstrung a little bit. The Colts were 32nd last year in tight end receptions, and it's like you can look at that and say, "Oh, this is a Steichen issue." That wasn't the case in 2022. But when you give him Mo Alley Cox and Jelani Woods and Kylan Granson, that's kind of the way this thing's going to work. We saw it in Philadelphia. Like the tight end screen was a staple of this offense, and a solid tight end like Tyler Warren that can move with the ball in his hands helps out there. But it's also like if you want to run RPO and you want to give Anthony Richardson the keys to the car, or even if it's Daniel Jones, like you have to have this guy. And Brad, I think it does wonders for Josh Downs.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it opens up and whoever the running back is, whether it's Jonathan Taylor or they move forward. You know, you can seal the edge a little bit. You want him to be a little bit more of a consistent blocker, but I think this is a good pick for the Colts. At 15, Tyson, how long have we been draft the freaking edge rusher, and the Falcons do it twice? We'll start with the 15 when they get Jalen Walker, edge from Georgia. Oh my goodness, what? I didn't know they knew what edge rusher was. I mean, I guess finally. Now, if I'm looking at this in the vacuum and I'm saying 15, this is a good pick for the Falcons. I like this pick for them. They needed to get somebody who can get off the edge. After Michael Williams is off the board, after Abdul Carter is off the board, this is the best player at that position. I thought they did a good job here.
Yeah, just the taste sours a little bit when you realize it. We'll talk about the James Pierce pick later, but it's like they took two really little guys a year after, like we were told Dallas Turner was too little to be playing for them. And it's like, what happened, Terry? Like, what the heck?
I'm president takes Shedeur Sanders. You know, you can never have too many QBs, right? Come on. At 16, the Cardinals. Now, this was a little bit of a shocker, I think, for a lot of people that Walter Nolan gets taken here.
Dude, he might end up the best player in the draft.
And I think that's why, if you're looking at the Cardinals, what do we need? This is guys came over from the Eagles. They want to build through the trenches. They started to do that in the offensive line. This was the next logical play here. This guy could be a star if he tries, if his work ethic's there, if his effort's there. And that's what you just don't know all the time with him. But if it hits, like you said, this could be Jalen Carter, honestly, just the way he's an athlete, the way he can play.
Dude, the way this guy is built, it's like if you designed a modern day defensive lineman, it'd probably come out looking a lot like Walter Nolan. I think he's going to be a stud, but the effort concerns are going to be there. Maybe a little bit of the attitude stuff, and Arizona might not be the spot to walk in. You know, I mean, we're not that like. It's crazy. We're like 10 years down the line, but it feels like the same team that drafted Robert Nkemdiche. It's like, what are we doing?
When they drafted, I literally first thing was like, oh, that's Robert Nkemdiche. Like, because the Ole Miss helmet, the same size, the same questions, the same look, dude. I'm like, these cloned, and he's got to go to Arizona.
Yeah.
Oh, too funny. So the Bengals at 17 select Shamar Stewart, freak show edge from Texas A&M. This is a major riser of ours after the combine. The production is just not there. This is a traits pick. This is, we need the edge rusher. Hendrickson's probably out the door. We just hope this guy hits. We hope that this guy turns into Myles Garrett. And if it does, it does. And if it doesn't, he said, okay, if we took a swing at 17, that's really all we can do here.
This is a weird one for me because I think that Jamar Stewart's going to be a good player, but it's like, is this the defense that can afford to take a traitsy guy and not a guy that can come in and produce right away? And that's where, like, I think Jamar Stewart can turn into a heck of a good football player, but that was in Baltimore. I don't know if it's happening here.
Yeah, we'll see, man. The new defensive coordinator. So, is that the guy? Oh, I can turn him into the star. I can get the most out of him.
How many sacks? He had like 4 sacks in 3 years.
I think 5.5 was his most.
Crazy.
That's his career number. I know, pretty shocking. Seahawks 18. So this is a popular name, taking 𝐬𝐨𝐫𝐞. I'm not sure, Tyson, if he's going to be a tackle or if he's going to be interior.
All
but
five.
He's from North Dakota State. Somebody well at the FCS level. A lot of good football players at that level, as Tyson likes to say it often. And this guy could be a really good football player going to the Seahawks. They need the offensive line help. You think tackle? You think guard?
I think he plays wherever. Like I really, like I said, all five kind of as a joke. He's not going to play center probably, but like he really could play wherever. I think dude, this guy's a freak. Like people, I don't know if you understand how good of an offensive lineman you have to be to come from the FCS level and get drafted in the top 20 in the NFL draft. I think that if this dude had an M on his helmet from Michigan, we're talking about a top 5 draft pick.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, you look at his athletic stuff. I mean, the numbers are off the charts. Tyson, this guy was a baseball player throwing 90 miles an hour.
He's 90, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, so Seahawks got to do something there. They're trying to build again through under their new coach. We'll kind of see what happens. 19, the Bucs take 𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸 wide out from Ohio State. I thought it was a reach. What do you think? First reaction.
My first reaction was, wow, I cannot believe that you looked around the Tampa Bay Buccaneers locker room and thought, we need wide receiver. And I know Mike Evans is older. Chris Godwin's coming off the injury. But what was the point of getting Jalen McMillan a year ago? Like, he's supposed to do that. Cade Otton came on strong, and it's going to be different now without Liam Cohen there calling the plays. But to me, it felt like, hey, let's bolster up these offensive line. This defense is getting older and older and older every year. There's a lot of guys on the board that could help you out. And I think 𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸 has the benefit of, this is the Ohio State boost, right? Is the fact that, like, you didn't have to be, he was never the number one on any college football team that he ever played for, and he didn't have to be. And so when you look at it from, wow, those are great numbers for a wide out too. And part of me, Brad, I think 𝐸𝐸𝐸𝐸 is a good player, but it's like, if you can never be the guy on your college football team, you're supposed to now walk in to a loaded wide receiver room and carve out space for you. I don't see it happening year one.
No, not year one. So I'm in the initial reaction, like, oh, I think it was a reach. I think they could have gone different. I'm with you. Like, really, probably some defense. If I'm looking at the rest of the board, who's available, probably would have helped a little bit better. I mean, the guy the Eagles took, 𝐠HAD Campbell. Vontae Davis getting older. You already lost. You already lost the other linebackers there for the championship. I'm blanking on his name right now.
Devin White.
Devin White. So I think this is a long-term play when I'm sitting back here. I think they're viewing this as, can he be the Mike Evans? I don't know. Can he be the Chris Godwin? Maybe. Can Jalen McMillan, can he be to Chris Godwin? Can he be that Mike Evans? I think that's how they're viewing this thing. Like, those two are the succession plans for Godwin and Evans. But at the same time, don't you want to win football games now? I think you want to bolster what you got. It's not like the NFC South. We're looking at this thing like a juggernaut. I mean, it's just a wide open teams. Yeah, you got the best quarterback in the division, I think, going into the year.
Yeah, but he's going to be 33 by the time these guys are peaking.
That's the problem. And so I think we're both like, I'm not sure about the process there. Now, this could be a good pick. Maybe he walks in and he's, Garrett Wilson immediately. He's a target hog, or Mike Evans gets hurt. And you have to fill somebody in there, and then maybe we're looking back in this like, oh, that was actually a good pick. But I think the process was a little bit off for both of us. What do you think of the Broncos at 20? Jahdae Barron, corner from Texas. I think this one took a lot of people by surprise.
Yeah, I think that, like, it became so sexy to be like, oh, it's going to be Hampton, or they're going to go up and get a running back or whatever. And it's like, how many times you guys watch a Sean Payton offense? How many first-round running backs has Sean Payton utilized in his head coaching career? It's not like that was never going to happen. This makes sense to me personally. Like, this defense is going to be disgusting a year from now, and I think that they're a little bit upset. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear some rumors they were trying to go up to 13 and get their Tyler Warren, or whoever else, or if they thought Loveland was going to slip. I would have probably. just if I had to guess, I think the tight end probably would have been higher than running back on the board for the Denver Broncos. But it's like you want to come sit opposite of Patrick Surtain? Like this is going to be fun for you.
It's gonna be great. I love this pick, Ty. So we talk about, well, they need to get offense. Okay, Cortland Sutton's still there. Marvin Mims, can he take a step back?
Bailey was good.
The offensive thing, right? Bailey was good. Bo Nix looks like he's a hit, man. I mean, a lot of people are kind of crapping on that pick. Oh, Sean Payton's saying all this stuff. Bo Nix looks like he can play. And when you got Sean Payton, they're dialing it up. Let's get defense. Let's look at this offense here. The rest of the division. Justin Herbert, you're gonna have to shut down that offense eventually with Harbaugh. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs still exist. And then the Raiders, we'll see. But, they're going to try to put a lot of stuff into this thing. It's a new culture. Well, we have no clue how that's going to go. Maybe it hits year 1. Maybe it hits in year 5. At a certain point, you're going to have to shut them down. Let's get the most out of Pat Surtain right now. Put this guy who can walk in, be a tackler, be a thumper. And then is Riley Moss now moved to safety? So Riley Moss going on the other side. You got more chess pieces you can play with on the defense. That's a good way to look at it. And they're never going to take a running back here. I was shocked that I saw the mock. How many times we talk about this running back class being deep?
They can get TreVeyon Henderson tomorrow, and everyone is just going to be like, "Wow, what a fit!"
They're going to get TreVeyon Henderson tomorrow, or they get Ollie Gordon in round 3, 4.
Yeah, Judkins.
Them taking Hampton at 20 was just shocking that I saw it so often. So I love this pick. I think it's a culture play too. You establish that thing, keep it moving there in Denver. The Steelers, everybody's like, all right, is this the Shedeur Sanders thing? Now, a lot of things came out, Tyson. Okay, it's a split room here. They go Derek Harmon, defensive tackle at Oregon. If you're not all sold on the quarterback, I think the play is let's not take the quarterback. Let's not force ourselves into something here. Harmon, we'll see. But, Cameron Hayward's getting older. This guy could be a monster on the interior. That makes sense to me.
This was the most Pittsburgh Steelers pick on the board. Like the Sanders thing was fun, and it still could happen. It could happen tomorrow. Like we don't know, but it was the whole thing was because Mike Tomlin's good at dealing with egos. It was like this isn't gonna happen. Like I don't know what you guys are smoking right now. He's not going 21 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Derek Harmon's a freaking massive human being, and he's gonna fit really well. Dude, him and TJ Watt are gonna look so good going 9-7.
Oh, I know. They're going to look great. They are going to look great. Chargers at 22. I think a lot of people thought maybe Will Johnson would go here, right? You kind of reunite him with Harbaugh.
Those knees must be cooked, brother.
He's never ran a 40-yard dash type. So I was listening. He never even ran as a prospect. Like nobody knows what he runs at a 40. Like an actual, hey, let's just run a 40. He's never done it, which is shocking. The Hampton thing here is interesting to me. So you go get Najee Harris.
Dude, this
all
is
right.
a banger.
This is classic Harbaugh. Like, let's run the football. Let's get a guy, a banger in Harris, and somebody who's going to bring some juice in Hampton. I like it. I'm interested to see who they're going to throw the football to, but I think if we're looking at the two running backs, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, then I'm probably the biggest Amari and Hampton fan in the nation. But what I will say about Hampton, and the thing that gave me a little pause, even with he's going top 20, 22 is essentially no different really from going in the top 20. But if you just if these guys didn't play in pads, this guy might have been the first overall pick in the draft. But the concerns there, and the contact balance is great and all this stuff. But there's just, when you watch him, it's like, why aren't you just a little bit better? And I think that Jim Harbaugh is the guy that can bring that out. I apologize to all you Kamani Vidal truthers out there that were like, this is going to be the guy. I think he fits really well with Najee Harris. And the other part is they didn't pay Najee Harris enough money to keep Hampton off the field. And I think that this is year 2 of Harbaugh establishing the culture. We said it a year ago, they might end up making the playoffs, but we're not going to know for real how good this thing is going to get going and get rolling until year 3. And I think Hampton is a huge piece in that.
23, the Packers take Matthew Golden, wide receiver from Texas. Great build. Tyson knows I'm a huge wrestling fan. That was a sick build. The crowd's ready for it. Then he drops it first time, and the crowd starts going nuts. The pick itself
sucks.
We're laughing. This is the same guy they have. I think this does scream that they're kind of over the Christian Watson experience, though. Hey, let's get a guy who can break the field, a guy who can stay on the field. So, they're taking a chance here. Is this going to be your number 1 wide receiver? I don't think so. But Tyson, how much better is the offense that the Packers have when there's Christian Watson on the field? So I think they're looking like, God, maybe Christian Watson can stay healthy, but if not, we have Matthew Golden. If Christian Watson and Matthew Golden are both on the field, the options are unlimited here. And at 23, and you need the wide receiver, and you need this offense to work, and you just paid Jordan Love a lot of money, I can see the reasoning behind it.
I mean, I understand it, but to me, it's like you probably could have done a little bit more homework or research or whatever in the offseason and walked out of here with a true wide receiver one, or like Tyreek Hill could get traded tomorrow. Like that's still on the table. There's a lot of guys. I think Golden's going to be a fine player, but he's going to operate in the same area of the field that Jaden Reed does. He's going to operate in the same area of the field when you send him deep as Christian Watson does. You still have Doubs. You have Wicks, who was mad that he wasn't getting targets last year. How's he going to feel this year? Look, this is the same guy. Like, how many wide receiver twos do you need? Jordan Love is going to look great throwing interceptions Matthew Golden's way.
Would you rather have Luther Burden or Matthew Golden?
Do you think this Burden stuff is real? Like the concerns about him? It must be.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's real. I think the lack of athleticism is scaring teams away. I mean, this is a pretty deep wide receiver class. I don't think it's high end, but there's a lot of guys I think can suit up and play on Sunday. So yeah. I think that is affecting them.
No, I agree. It's just like this guy shot up boards post combine, and rightfully so. I mean, you show up and do what he did, but it's like, how much better is Matthew Golden going to? We'll find out. I'm more than open to being completely wrong on this, but it's like, is he that much better than the two guys from Iowa State?
I'd rather. Well, man, I mean, I'll put it this way, and probably this would be like obviously for a lot of draft people out there, I'd rather have Luther Burden in the third round than spend first round capital on Matthew Golden.
Yeah, I mean, there's guys that could have helped him, but at the end of the day, dude, they scored 10 points in a playoff game. Like, you got to get the offense.
Vikings at 24 take Donovan Jackson, offensive lineman from Ohio State, probably an interior guy. That's my guess here. Not a sexy pick. Smart. I think it's smart.
Yeah, I mean, this is we got to the point in the draft where it's like, okay, now it's all starting to click. Everything's making sense. These are just teams that there's a reason they were in the playoffs.
Yeah, and then we get our first trade, right? Giants jump back in. The Texans are out. Well, is it Shedeur Sanders? It's Jackson Dart. And this was the smoke that a lot of people were talking about. Oh, the Giants are in love with Jackson Dart, and they take him here. Second quarterback off the board, only second quarterback to be taken in the first round this year. Boy, I'll tell you, though, I think the Texans got a pretty good deal for this pick swap because – they get out of the first round, but they get the 34th pick, they get the 99th back, and they get a third rounder in 2026. Pretty good value here just to what did the Texans really need there? And I think the Giants, Tyson, I want to dive into this a little bit because if you're going to go into the first round, you're going to give up that capital. You think the Jackson Dart is going to be the future of your franchise. Like, that's what it says to me. They think whether it's this year or next year, they think Jackson Dart is going to be the guy that competes with Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts. And I throw Dak Prescott in here, but we'll see coming off injury. But that's what they believe. Is that really what the Giants are sitting here going into, saying this is the guy we're putting all our eggs in this basket?
John Mara has a type. He drafted a guy that looked like Eli Manning, and that didn't work. And now he's drafting a guy from Eli Manning's alma mater, and this isn't going to work either. And that's not actually true, but, for the reasoning behind it, I think Jackson Dart's a fine player. I think that this whole push up into the first round and everything that we've seen over the last couple of weeks, it happens every year with a quarterback, and Jackson Dart happened to be the beneficiary of this year's version. Dude, if he comes out a year ago, Jackson Dart is quarterback 8 or whatever, 7 off the board. Like, this is not to me, watching him, this was never a first round quarterback. I think he's social media sexy and all of that stuff, but Jackson Dart isn't winning you a Super Bowl.
So there's another trade right after this. This one we were talking a little bit. Rams trade their 26th pick to the Falcons. This to me, I mean, holy smokes here, guys. So the Rams trade the number 26 pick and the number 101 this year. They get back number 46. All right. Number 242. All right. Did they get the first round pick in 2026? Listen, Atlanta. So Atlanta takes James Pierce Jr., edge from Tennessee. So they go 2 edge rushers. We mentioned it. I get you needed the edge rusher. I don't understand the philosophy in Atlanta. And we're texting about this because we're like, what are they doing? So your multiple bad years of decision making and bad team construction when you could have just taken the edge rushers you should have taken years ago, started building up an actual position group. But now you're like, oh my God, we don't have any edge rushers. Yeah, because you ignored it. And he's like, it's not that important. So then you panic. You take a guy at 15, which you should have, Jalen Walker. You could have just, hey, that's it. We'll see what we get on day 2. To give up a first-round pick for James Pierce Jr., like, I think he's a good player. You should never trade back into the first round and take a guy like that. I mean, what is happening here?
Dude, they got 2 edge rushers that combined weigh less than 500 pounds in the modern NFL. It's tough. That's a tough look. I think production-wise, James Pierce, like, if you just took, like, just raw numbers and threw them out there, people would be like, oh, James Pierce is pretty good. Like, this guy's going to be awesome. It's one of those things where in Atlanta, it's like, you got to play a bunch. You're going to come in and play right away. We got to still figure out what happens with Kirk Cousins. Now you don't have a pick next year. God forbid, I'm a huge Michael Penix fan, but, like, now the injury concerns don't exist.
Right.
Like, come on. Like, what are we doing? I think that the Rams just entered into the Arch Manning sweepstakes.
Yeah, Arch Manning, Drew Aller. How many quarterbacks are we going to see coming out next year, man? I mean, Nuss. Yeah, I mean, good Lord, next year. And, the Browns got another first-round pick. Are they going to wait on the quarterback? We'll see what happens here. The Falcons are just a gift that keeps on giving this podcast, man. It's just insane what goes on there in the dirty South.
They take my favorite players year over year. They take Drake London. They take Bijan Robinson. They take Kyle Pitts, and then they nuke them.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, man, oh, man. Okay, Ravens at 27. What a great draft pick for them. Malachi Starks, safety from Georgia. And, we kind of make fun of the Ravens thing because it's like no matter who they take, it's A+ Ravens. Yeah. Woo! This is awesome, dude. I mean, you pair this guy, high character, high IQ, really good football player with Kyle Hamilton. That is freaking sick, man. I am pumped to see this on the field.
2 years ago, last year going into the draft, it was like, okay, they need secondary help, and they go get Nate Wiggins, and then he was really good to close the season. And it was like, wow, that's awesome. And then this year, it's like not a ton of holes. They could use another. Oh, the best one in the draft's on the board. This is easy. It's just year over year, the Ravens, the Eagles, like some of these teams, it's just like, how do they keep getting away with this? Talk to your front office.
The Lions at 28. A lot of people said this was a reach. Tyreek Williams, defensive tackle, Ohio State. Can we just stop questioning Brad Holmes though at this point? Like, if the guy likes a guy, we like it.
Yeah, I mean, like as soon as the pick is in, the guy, Kuiper or whoever on ESPN is like, I don't know about it. And it's like, you didn't like Jack Campbell, you didn't like Jahmyr Gibbs, you didn't like when they took Laporta in the second round, you didn't like outside of Sewell, it's like the Lions suck at drafting every NFL draft, and then the regular season happens, and it's like, oh, this guy might be the best at this position in the draft. Brad Holmes can do whatever he wants, dude. That leash is as long as it gets. Hey, we want to be big, nasty, and physical. Let's go get a big, nasty, physical guy to put on our football team.
And I know a lot of people are like, okay, well, you got to get an edge rusher opposite of Hutchinson, but it's like, what if you just disrupt on the interior?
Yeah.
Like, there you go. So, I mean, the way they were celebrating that draft room, I'm like, oh, they got somebody they liked a lot. And it was like, yeah, nobody else was probably taking them at 28, but they were celebrating. They liked it. So that was enough for me. 29, Commanders, Josh Connerly Jr., offensive tackle from Oregon, big guy, and it makes complete sense. I mean, you got Jaden Daniels, protect him. That's all you need.
Yeah, and they went from this offensive line stinks to now, we have like not an embarrassment of riches because we don't know if these guys can play, but it's like we even take out Cosme. We don't even know what he's doing. And it's like the Commanders are now overflowing with offensive linemen. Adam Peters has done a heck of a job.
And the Buffalo Bills, Maxwell Harrison, cornerback from Kentucky at 30. This makes complete sense to me. You messed up last year. We talked about it, how maybe Brandon Beane should be canned for that decision to let the Chiefs go trade. You trade with the Chiefs, let them go get the receiver. You knew they wanted all along. So
they beat you in the AFC Championship game.
Right, exactly. That was the missing context. So let's go get a guy who maybe can mirror him with his speed, Maxwell Harrison. I love it. This is just 4D chess, man.
Yeah, I mean, anytime that you can draft a corner where on his highlight film is him chasing down the guy that ran a 4.2 at the NFL draft, you probably did okay.
And then the Eagles and the Chiefs picks swap at 31 and 32. Eagles gave up, I believe it was a fifth rounder or a fifth rounder.
164, I think.
164 to flip it. All right, fine here. But the Eagles take Jahad Campbell, and it's like, good Lord, this is just sick. I mean, we're Eagles fans. We're obviously going to feel some certain way about it, but I'm watching NFL Network. They're cracking up. Like DJ is dying laughing. Klatt's like, oh my God. Charles Davis is giddy. I mean, they're just like, how did this happen? And it just never fails.
No, and you could have gone a number of different directions for the Eagles. You lose 4 defensive backs. You lose some defensive linemen. Was it going to be an offensive tackle? Maybe you want to start looking at Lane Johnson's replacement. Maybe that's going to be Tyler Steen. Maybe you need to address the mini Achilles heel at right guard if you're the Philadelphia Eagles, or you just go get the guy who is probably the best linebacker in the country for the University of Alabama, torn labrum. All of that stuff. Dude, it's an embarrassment of riches for the Philadelphia Eagles.
And then rounding out the first round, Tyson, Chiefs select Josh Simmons, offensive tackle from Ohio State. Makes a ton of sense. You got to start building the trenches. You got to start being able to protect Patrick Mahomes. You can't keep throwing money at these at these free agents, while you have Mahomes under that contract. So it makes sense to me. I like it.
They got to hit one of these things.
They got to. They have to. So that's the 32. It's a longer podcast today. That's our initial reaction as this is coming out. Let us know what you think. But we got to touch on this. Shedeur Sanders free falls out of the first round. There was some smoke that this was going to happen today. And I don't think anybody necessarily expected it to be completely out of the first round. What do you make of this entire situation here?
Brother, I could go pull up something from August where I said that I thought he was a 3rd-round draft pick, and I think I'm going to be proven correct here tomorrow in the NFL draft. I don't even know if he's going in the 2nd, man. I mean, you can't talk the way he talks and carry yourself the way he carries himself and expect to go in the 1st round. And I'm sure somebody's going to grab him, but what plus traits is Shedeur Sanders bringing to, like, the accuracy's good and the anticipation can be good at times, and he's mobile enough to escape the pocket. Takes way too many sacks. Like, you're not Jaden Daniels, right? And like, you're not Justin Fields for some of these guys that took a bunch of sacks that still went high. It's a circus too, and that's the part that's lost in this whole thing. Is it's like, oh, somebody's going to get a good football player. It's like, well, somebody's going to get a year-round attention that maybe they don't want.
I think this might be the best thing that's going to happen to his career.
He needed it.
You needed it, and listen,
we're cheering for him. To be perfectly clear,
I don't have anything against him. I know a lot of people are rubbed the wrong way by him, and the main criticism we had was when he threw his teammates under the bus.
Yes, the Nebraska,
because that's BS. Like, you're the quarterback, and these kids, they're trying. You're trying to do something here. Then you bring the star. You can't just throw these guys under the bus if you want to be the quarterback. You're going to be the face of an NFL franchise. It's not how it works with grown men in the locker room, especially when you're the rookie. If you want to be the guy here. So that's the problem we had with him. I thought as the season progressed, there's certain things that come out, whatever. There's a lot of pressure on me as a face here. I don't have anything against Shedeur Sanders. I think if we're strictly looking at his prospect, average arm, his plus trait is the accuracy, even though I don't think it's necessarily plus when you look at the NFL. He's not a great athlete. I think his anticipation is average. What are we talking about here? I mean, this is a bad draft class. I think Field Yates, Tyson said, if he came out last year in that class, he'd be the 7th or 8th guy. I think that's accurate.
Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about here. I do think that he has the chance to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. I don't think he's a backup. I think if he has an opportunity, he's going to get an opportunity to start. I think Cleveland probably should take a look at him in this round with the first pick of the 2nd round. But I think on the surface, it's surprising to see Shedeur Sanders fall out of the 1st round. If you actually took it in the vacuum, it was like Shedeur Smith or something. It's not that surprising.
No, and I don't. It's just so hard. I hope so bad it's Dallas. I just think that would be the funniest possible outcome. That's what I'm really cheering for. But no, to be clear, we want everybody in this draft to be successful. But Will Levis needed to be humbled coming in too. He was a little bit different than Shedeur. But part of it is because ESPN wasn't covering every time Will Levis sneezed. It's not necessarily Shedeur Sanders' fault that he's in the media like this all the time. But just strictly on the field, he was closer to Tyler Shuck than he was to Cam Ward.
Let's close out here with biggest surprise fallers, and we'll close out officially with the best potential 2nd rounders as we look ahead. A couple from me here. I mean, Will Johnson falling and Nick Emmanwori were two that really stood out to me where I was like, wow, I can't believe they're not going in the 1st round here.
No, those would be the ones. And you mentioned Will Johnson not running a 40, and yeah, and that's part of it. But I've seen him run 40 yards with your favorite wide receiver, whoever that is, and he kept up with him pretty good. So I wonder if those knees truly are cooked. Even Worry just puts up one of the best combines of all time, and unfortunately for him, this was a defensive class where it was like, hey, pick your poison. There's a lot of really good players in here, and somebody's going to be pumped getting probably both these guys day two. I thought that there was small potential, Brad, that Travion Henderson snuck into the first round, and I think the NFL is going to love this kid.
Interesting. Okay. Donovan Ezeraki was also a popular name, edge rusher from Boston College, and he was mocked as high as what, Tyson, like top 15? I mean,
yeah, but
he falls out.
When you're mocked top 15 by Bucky Brooks, it's not exactly the same thing, you know.
Okay, let's talk potential or best. I said second rounders, but I guess it's day two because it's what, the second round, third round, right? And then let's talk about some of the best guys that we could see here. We already said Will Johnson, Nick Worry. I think they go quick. You mentioned Travion Henderson, who I really like a lot. I think, I'm just going to say this here. Whoever drafts Siobhan Ravel from East Carolina or getting a steal,
pretty excited.
I think he's, I know he's coming off the torn ACL, but boy, this guy would have been, potentially CB1 in this class. I think somebody's getting a steal there.
Yeah, the safety from Toledo as well. Like, there's a lot of really good players left. And the thing I'm probably looking forward to the most tomorrow, Brad, is like, I've been saying it for a long time that this running back draft class is just juiced. It's crazy good. We're going to find out if the NFL wants to make that run happen in the third round or if it's going to wait all the way until day 3. And that's going to tell us a lot kind of about how this goes. 'Cause we're going to see 15 of these guys go within the next 2 days here. And I'm just curious when the run starts.
Best available, according to the ESPN, still remaining in the running back room: Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins, Caleb Johnson, Cam Scadaboo, Dylan Sampson, Devin Neal, DJ Giddens, Jordan James, RJ Harvey, Damian Martinez. Tyson, we're not even talking about Trevor Etienne. That's from Georgia. Your guy, Bashal Tootin, Jaden Blue, Woody Marks, who was awesome, Kyle Monaghan, like Ollie Gordon's at 20. Taj Brooks was awesome for Texas Tech. 19. This running back class is insane. And I think the wide receivers, we're going to see some guys too. Like you mentioned, the duo from Iowa State, Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel, Trey Harris, I think could be a guy. Same with Luther Burden, who we talked about before. How Kyle Williams, Jalen Lane, 2 guys that pop for you out of the combine. Ty Felton, I think, from Maryland's an interesting guy. I don't know if he's going to go day 2, but those are some names there. And then, of course, Mason Taylor. When did the tight ends start going? Elijah Arroyo. I think both you and I have Taylor and Ferguson over him. And Harold Fannin, like you said, too, could be a name that pops.
Yeah, and then like you get into the trenches, there's a lot of really good players there too. It's a crazy deep zone cornerback class, not a ton of man guys, so it doesn't necessarily fit everybody's MO, right? Like if Gus Bradley was still on the Colts, they might have traded back in and taken 3 of these guys this year. But thank God Big Lou saved them, But I think that it's got the chance to be a really, really deep class, and we're not going to do a day 2 follow-up more than likely. So Brad, on day 3, whoever takes the mayor of Montana, the governor of Montana, Tommy Millott, is going to get the best locker room guy in the country.
I love it. We ran long today. That's just what we do on draft stuff. And we didn't give you a ton of stuff going in, Tyson, but we love the NFL draft. We got the juices flowing when this thing was rolling. So it's good to be back talking a little draft stuff and a little prep stuff.
Yeah, and we'll be back afterwards to give some more reactions to the rest of the draft, and then we're in it after the draft happens. We got rookie camp right away, and then we're into full on hype season for training camp and all of that.
Yeah, so that's why you got to stay subscribed so you don't miss a single thing. Plus, we're putting kind of turning the page on the college stuff too, because also we got the transfer portal, but once these guys are gone, the coaches are back on campus, right? Like a lot of them are helping their guys out. A lot of these guys are hanging out in the college campuses and doing some work and working out with the team. They're gone now. They're going to their NFL dream. We're going to cover college stuff, I think, a lot more in depth. We're going to have some more different ideas come out because it's a machine now, college football. Also, the NBA playoffs are in session. We're going to try to figure out what we're doing with that. We got you covered during the summer as we get ready to head into the fall. That's why you got to stay subscribed. Like I said, smash the like button on the way out. Let us know what you liked in this draft. What was a steal? What was a surprise? All that good stuff. Share it with a friend. Share it with an enemy. You guys know the drill. I'm not sure what the content schedule is going to be since we got a lot going on, but we'll talk to when you talk to. Until then, guys, Peace.